Hello everyone, before we get started with today's video, there's just something I want to show you guys about this book, The Coldest Girl in Coldtown. Warning, the relating content may be disturbing to some individuals. If you are one person that faints or vomits, because some of this material can get kind of disturbing. I mean, I'm already to chapter 30. There's some points where I almost cry because a lot of people died and stuff. So please, just if you don't like death, please just go. So thank you. This is part 2 of the first chapter called Nothing. What's it called? Nothing can happen more beautiful than death. Every kid had to do a different project for that class. Tanya had made a diorama with a shoebox and a lot of red poster paint to represent a news article that she'd cut out of the paper. One about three vampires on the run from Corpus Christi who'd break into a house and kill everyone, and then rest among the corpses till night fell again, which made her wonder if there still could be a vampire in this house. The vampire who slaughtered all these people, who'd somehow overlooked her, who'd been too intent on blood and butchery to open every door, every hall, closet, or bathroom, who hadn't swept aside a shower curtain. It would murder her now. The thought of it heard her moving. Her heart raced, thundering against her ribcage, and every beat felt like a punch in the chest. Stupid, her heart said. Stupid, stupid, stupid. Tanya felt lightheaded, her breath coming in shallow gasps. She knew she would have to sit down again and put her head between her legs. That was what you were supposed to do if you were hyperventilating. But if she sat down, she might never get up. She forced herself to inhale deeply instead, letting the air out of her lungs as slowly as she could. She wanted to run out the front, race across the lawn, and pound on one of the neighbors' doors until they let her inside. But without her boots, or phone, or keys, she'd be in a lot of trouble if no one was home. Lance's parents' farmhouse was out in the country, and all the land between the house was state park. There just weren't that many neighbors nearby, and Tanya knew that once she walked out the door, no force on earth could make her return. She was torn between the impulse to run and the urge to curl up like a pill bug, close her eyes, tuck her head beneath her arms, play the game of, since I can't see monsters, monsters can't see me. Neither of those impulses were going to save her. She had to think. Sunlight dappled the living room, filtered through the leaves of the trees outside. Late afternoon sun, sure, but still sun. She clung to that. Even if the whole nest of vampires were in the basement, they couldn't come up before nightfall. She should just stick to her plan. Go to the guest room and get her boots and cell phone and car keys. Go outside and have the biggest, most awful freak out of her life. She would allow herself to scream or even faint so long as she did it in her car, far from here, with the windows up, the doors locked. Carefully, she pushed off each of her shiny metal bracelets, setting them on the rug so they wouldn't jangle when she moved. This time, as she crossed the room, she was aware of every creak of the floorboard. Every ragged breath she took, she imagined fanged mouth in the shadows. She imagined cold hands cracking through the kitchen linoleum, fingernails scratching her ankles as she was dragged down into the dark. It seemed like forever before she made it to the door of the spare room and twisted the knob. Then, despite all her best intentions, she gasped. It was Aiden, tied to the bed. His wrists and ankles were bound to the post with bungee cords, and there was a silver duct tape over his mouth, but he was alive. For a long moment, all she could do was stare at him, the shock of everything coming over her all at once. Someone had taped garbage bag over the windows, blocking out sunlight, and beside the bed, gagged in chains, amid the jackets, someone had swept to the floor. Another boy, one with hair as black as spilled ink. He looked up at her. His eyes were bright as rubies, just as red. I hope you guys liked that. Part 2 of the chapter 1. See you in the next episode. We'll still probably be in like 5 seconds after I watch this, so 5 minutes.